How's it going, creeps? Welcome to this episode of Cinema Creep. Cinema Creep is a place where we discuss and dissect all things that are disgusting, vile, and downright terrifying in the world of horror cinema. And today's video is no exception because we are talking about a film that is super gnarly. And when you think about horror, or when I think about horror, one of my favorite times for horror is during the holidays. I think it is the odd juxtaposition of being merry, bright, and joyful, murderous, evil, and diabolical. And how horror films are often very try-hard because they try to really overshoot the joy of the season, and they often become just over the top and campy and stupid and over the top with gore, and that is what makes them so great. And today's film is going to fit perfectly into that category. We are talking about Jeff Begos' 2022 Christmas horror film called Christmas Bloody Christmas. If you guys haven't seen this, it's on Shudder. And Jeff Begos, he was the director for a film called VFW. So if you haven't seen VFW, it's from 2019, and it is super sick as well. VFW is sort of a film that is in the vein of a movie like Hobo with a Shotgun. It sort of has that throwback, gritty, grindhouse kind of feel. And it's essentially about a young woman who takes shelter in a local VFW post as she's running from drug dealers and these weird, like, cyberpunk-looking kids. And I really dug VFW, and so Christmas Bloody Christmas is sort of in that vein. And if you guys are longtime listeners of Cinema Creep, you know that I love horror punks and horror films that have punks in them, especially from the 80s. And Christmas Bloody Christmas sort of embodies that punk DIY type of feel, from the title card through the heavy music and the two main actors working in a record store, and their dialogue and how they're vulgar to one another. So Christmas Bloody Christmas stars Riley Dandy, Sam DeLake, and Jonah Ray, Dora Madison, and Jeff Daniel Phillips. So our two main characters, they're not big names in horror, but you'd be surprised because of how well they play their characters, especially Riley Dandy. I think she does great in this movie, and within 2 weeks of this film coming out, she also played in another Hallmark Hollywood type of Christmas movie. So it's funny to see that she has two sides of the coin when it comes to Christmas films. Although I think she should stick to playing horror characters, and I guarantee you she will get more roles just based upon her character in this film because she played a super strong female lead in this movie. Now, Sam DeLake, or Sam DeLike, I'm not sure how you say his name, but he plays Robbie Reynolds, and he is a pretty cool character too. He has an awesome fashion mullet, and he just plays this buddy to the main character that ultimately tries to hook up with her throughout the film. But you can tell he is a pretty solid actor, and I would like to see some more stuff from him in the future. Now, your most notable name, or the most notable name that I recognize, is Jeff Daniel Phillips. He plays Sheriff Monroe in Christmas Bloody Christmas. He just played Herman Munster in Rob Zombie's The Munsters movie. Don't get me started on that. He was also Tenderloin in Westworld, and he has played a bunch of different things. I mean, he was in 3 from Hell. He was Steve Larson in Satanic Panic. So he has done a lot more than the other people, and I don't mind him as a character. Hated him as Herman Munster. Absolutely hated him as Herman Munster. Didn't mind him in Satanic Panic. So he's a pretty good actor all around. I like his character. In this movie, he plays that small town sheriff kind of guy. He has a great mustache, by the way. So when you initially look at this movie, you notice the cinematography. So I am absolutely blown away and love the cinematography of this film because it is very fitting, but it is also neon. And you guys know I love neon cinematography. The cinematographer, Brian Sowell, he's done a couple movies, The Inhabitant from 2022, Moonbase 8, and he did some camera operator stuff on The Disaster Artist from 2017. So the synopsis of Bloody Christmas, guys, is it's pretty good, right? So it goes, it's Christmas Eve and Tori just wants to get drunk and party. But when a robotic Santa Claus at a nearby toy store goes haywire and begins a rampant killing spree throughout her small town, she's forced into a battle for survival.
Y'all want to see a dead body?
So this immediately makes me think of Chopping Mall. And the reason this film makes me think of Chopping Mall is, I guess, just a robot going on a killing spree. That's not RoboCop. Even though this film will give you some RoboCop vibes near the end of the movie. The reason it gives me Chopping Mall vibes is because our two main characters, Robbie and Tori, they work at a record store. It is owned by Tori. She is Robbie's boss, and they are closing the store for the night. Now, the beginning of the film is sort of aggravating because there is a lot of dialogue, and the dialogue is very well written, but at times you sort of feel like you're just watching two people talk at a record store for real because the dialogue is so well written. And these two are just basically giving each other shit back and forth. And at some point, you're just like, shut the fuck up and let's get on with the movie. I want to see Santa killing some people. And so these two eventually close the record store down for the night. And Robbie, he talks Tori out of going on a Tinder date with this guy that he basically is just, talking down for the entire first 30 minutes of the film. And she decides to hang out with Robbie instead of going on the date. And this is because he ultimately is trying to hook up with her. And these two characters, they start visiting these other little places in their small town at night. So Tori and Robbie, they go to visit two friends that are staying at a toy store down the road. And when I say staying at the toy store, this is where it reminds me of Chopping Mall. These two decided they were going to sleep over at this toy store. And this toy store that we're talking about is where the animatronic Santa is displayed. Now, there's a commercial that comes on TV talking about how these animatronic Santas are military grade and they've been recalled because they've been known to malfunction. And that's how this Santa malfunctions and comes alive and starts killing people because it has this this recall, right? That sort of it malfunctions and I guess just starts killing. So the first kill that you see is in this toy store, and it is this couple that decided they were going to stay there. So as all good horror movies go, they start having sex and Santa strikes. And Santa, of course, in the toy store grabs nothing other than an axe. A very obvious weapon a la Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's like, can we get a horror film with a Santa where he's not wielding an axe? Tori and Robbie have already left, and they sort of start visiting these other places. And one of the places they visit is they visit the bar to continue to get wasted. And why this is important is because throughout the film, as they get more wasted, it sort of makes you believe this is why they can't call for help. Because at one point, they're battling the Santa, or the Santa's breaking into their home, and they can't find their phone because they were too drunk and, they forgot their phone. They forgot where they put it. So there's a lot of good kills in this film, and like I said, it feels very authentic. The writing is great, but it is sort of a very lackluster storyline, and it sounds kind of stupid to say that when we're talking about horror or Christmas horror in general, but I wasn't really feeling the look of the animatronic Santa Claus for 3/4 of the film because he just looked like a normal guy playing Santa Claus. He tried to do this kind of walk thing with some sound effects to kind of sound like a robot, and I wasn't buying it. His skin just looked too much like human flesh, not even like animatronic flesh. I think they could have done a better job there. Now he gets pretty gnarly at the end when he starts glowing green through his skin and his face gets ripped off and you can really tell he's a robot and he has these green laser beam eyes. Then he starts looking awesome. I wish they would have introduced him looking like that earlier on in the film. And I don't know, maybe they were on a different budget in the beginning of the film or something, but they shouldn't have waited that long to make the animatronic Santa look that cool, because he just looks like a wrestler or something stupid for 3/4 of the film. So the best part of this movie is probably the second act up until the third act. The end sort of drags on a little bit, as well as the beginning. But if you can make it through the beginning and sort of just really enjoy the second act, then you can tolerate the third act. I would give this movie probably 3 creeps out of 5, and I definitely recommend you guys watch it. And it's a movie that you can put on that you don't have to pay attention to. It is not a movie that is, if you miss some of the dialogue, you're going to miss what's going on in the movie. So this movie is if RoboCop, Chopping Mall, and Silent Night, Deadly Night all had a baby, it would be this film. And I know that sounds super cool, probably makes this sound cooler than it is. But like I said, it's a solid 3 creeps out of 5, and I would definitely check this one out if you haven't. And that about sums it up for Christmas Bloody Christmas. So comment down below, let me know if you've seen this film, and let me know what you think of it. Show me what your rating is using the emojis that are listed below. And if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Give it a thumbs up, because that helps us out a lot. And as always, guys, stay creepy, and I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.